The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
Several days later.
Texas sent more than 100 migrants from the Mexico border on a plane to Chicago this week. The flight left from El Paso and arrived in Chicago Tuesday.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who continues to troll woke Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, because as you guys saw at the beginning of this video, Brandon Johnson was making a big deal. He was boohoo, whining, and crying about Greg Abbott doing exactly what Democrats asked for, which is to send the illegal immigrants to the sanctuary cities that are run by Democrats. Okay, Democrats said, hey, we love illegal immigrants. We want them here in our city. We want to take care of them. And Greg Abbott did just that. Now, fast forward, it's been what, like a year or two now of the Texas governor plus, you know, other red states sending illegals to these sanctuary cities. And the Democrats are throwing a fit, right? They can't stand it, okay? They can't stand getting exactly what they asked for. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has decided to impound the buses that are coming to Chicago with the illegal immigrants, okay? He's essentially punishing the bus companies who bring the illegal immigrants to Chicago as a way to try to stop the flow of illegal immigrants into the city. However, Greg Abbott, because he's playing chess, not checkers, has decided to basically start flying migrants to Chicago instead. And I want to talk about that because, of course, Brandon Johnson is upset about that too, right? He's upset, okay, that Greg Abbott is playing chess, okay? And we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about it, I want to address this issue of the difference between Biden flying illegal immigrants across the country and what Greg Abbott is doing, okay? Because yesterday I did a video basically exposing the fact that the Biden administration allegedly is flying illegal immigrants across the country. I guess the ones that technically, I guess they aren't here illegally because they are claiming to be asylum seekers, right? Using taxpayer money, okay, when he can be using that taxpayer money to deport them, okay? But that's not what he's doing, right? He's not deporting them, even though we should be doing mass deportations. Now, states do not have the ability to deport illegal immigrants, okay? And that is why I believe what Greg Abbott is doing is different than what Joe Biden is doing, because one has the authority to actually deport the illegals and the other one doesn't, at least not legally, okay? Texas Governor Greg Abbott is going to try to challenge that and start using the state police officers to deport the illegals himself, right? Just the state doing it because the federal government won't do it. But yeah, technically he's not allowed to do that. But Greg Abbott, despite not really having the authority to really do much about immigration because it's a federal problem, is just trying to manage the situation the best he can. But this is being done on purpose because essentially the migrants have now become the new cheap labor for this country, for corporate America. And you know it's being done on purpose because the so-called migrant detention centers are empty, despite the fact that the border is currently being overrun.
Overwhelming cities as Border Patrol reports thousands of encounters by the day. You would not know it, however, looking at multiple nearly empty ICE detention centers around the country. What's up with that, you ask? From L.A., William Lajeunesse has got the story. What'd you find out, William?
It makes no sense, Bill, right? Because every day taxpayers are paying millions of dollars for empty detention beds, even as the Border Patrol releases thousands of migrants we know are not going to show up for court. Take this facility in Southern California, 2,000 beds, fully staffed and operational, yet it houses just 6 migrants. Why? One answer, the Biden administration only wanted detention space for 25,000 migrants nationwide the last 2 budget years. President Trump, by contrast, detained twice as many, 50,000 in 2019. Now, some judges did reduce jail populations during COVID, but those restrictions ended 8 months ago. The real reason, critics say, President Biden opposes detaining migrants, giving in to progressives inside the White House.
They keep releasing thousands while thousands of beds are empty. They'd rather put them in a hotel in New York City at $500 a night than put them in an ice bed at $160 a night.
So that California location, Adelanto, is not alone. ICE contracts with dozens of correctional facilities around the country. And as you can see, many are well below capacity, under half full. Here's the kicker. By contract, ICE guarantees to fill 70 to 80% of the beds. So taxpayers are going to pay millions a month, empty or full, it doesn't matter. In just 5 locations we counted, Bill, more than 2,000 empty beds.
This isn't about COVID at all. This is about shutting down immigration detention and shutting down immigration enforcement.
So why does it matter? Well, yesterday, the immigration court backlog topped 3 million cases. When President Biden took over in office, 1.2 million. Detained migrants show up for court. And when they lose, they get deported. But released migrants, like we see every day, 94%, Bill, are never caught and never leave. ICE did not respond to our questions.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, so again, I want you guys to understand how inefficient our government is, right? This is how we just waste money, right? Taxpayer dollars. Biden has just decided, because progressives, got in his ear. Remember, he's not really running anything, right? Because Biden's not actually really a progressive. He's just running his administration that way because he's out of his mind and, he doesn't have the ability to actually really do anything or make any decisions. But regardless, we have a crisis at the border. Our border's been overrun, but yet the detention centers that you would think would be full are actually empty, right? They're empty. And we still have to foot the bill for it because contractually we're obligated to say, hey, we're going to guarantee that a certain percentage of these beds are full, right? So we're paying for illegals to be detained that are not actually really being detained while they are being sent to these cities, okay, on federal taxpayer dollars instead of actually being put into the detention centers while their paperwork is processed for people that are actually, seeking asylum. And then, you have the other ones as well, too, that, aren't really seeking asylum. They're just here illegally, getting them in a place where we can actually, have them deported. Again, this is the problem, right? This is the problem. This is why when Democrats ask for more money, I say no. There's no way you can get Democrats more money for processing, right? Because our government is so inefficient with the money that they spend. It's ridiculous. It's crazy to think about. We're literally paying for illegal immigrants to be in detention centers, except they're not, right? And then we're also paying on top of that for them to be housed in, hotels, living a life of luxury, first-class flights to whatever city they want to go to. Again, it's shameful. It really is. So that being said, we have Greg Abbott, right, flying the illegals to Chicago, okay, because he can't really deport them. He can't do anything about it, okay? So now he's like, you know what, I'm just going to send them to liberal cities that claim they want them. And, of course, Brandon Johnson has a problem with it.
Texas is chartering a private plane that landed last night with just under 100 migrants to Chicago. What do we know about this situation so far?
Yeah, what we know is, as I've said repeatedly, the governor of Texas is determined to create chaos throughout the entire country. And this is after the city council passed an ordinance that I put forward to provide more structure, to provide more calm, and some more coordination with how buses are arriving in the city of Chicago. AKA
impound them, right? Impound the buses. Punish the companies that are transporting the illegal immigrants, right? So, look, here's the thing. He's saying that the Texas governor is trying to cause chaos, but he doesn't actually ever criticize Biden for the chaos at the border, right? The chaos is actually coming from the fact that people are being allowed in this country, okay, illegally. That's where the chaos is coming from, okay? But again, he doesn't ever want to address the core problem here.
Frankly, what's actually quite disturbing is that many of the individuals who are coming from the border, there's no coordination at the border either. So many of the individuals are not being treated. They're not being processed. They're not, getting medical attention. So by the time they arrive in the city of Chicago, they're coming in quite severe conditions.
Yeah, I mean, that's Biden's fault, right? That's on the Biden administration. You should be pointing the finger at him specifically.
Cold, tired, wet, hungry, traumatized. The type of chaos that this governor is insistent on creating throughout this entire country. My administration in 7 months has literally stood up dozens of shelters. We have over 14,000 that are living in shelters right now. We're providing medical care, vaccinations, screenings. The Cook County government has been an incredible partner as we set up appointments for these families. We provide transportation for these families to get medical treatment. Almost 5,000 students right now in the Chicago Public Schools that we are educating. Most of them are pre-K to third grade. And so the city of Chicago has had to bear this incredible responsibility, while at the same time, the ignorance that's coming from the state of Texas is causing and breeding the type of chaos that not just the city is experiencing, but the entire country is experiencing.
And wow, incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff. Hey, boo-hoo, Chicago. We're getting all these traumatized people, and we're using our resources to take care of them. Greg Abbott evil, right? Well, it's like, dude, so you want Texas to bear the brunt of it, right? See, again, listen to these people talk. Listen to these people talk. Would Brandon Johnson give a damn if all the illegal immigrants stayed in Texas and then the Texas governor was complaining about how it's draining their resources? What do you think that he would be saying? What do you think the response would be? The response would be, well, you just got to suck it up. You just got to deal with it. You're a bigot. You're racist, right? You hate Mexicans. That's what the response would be. But when he has to deal with it, he wants people to feel bad, okay? To try to make it seem like Greg Abbott is evil for sharing what is a federal issue, right? But again, these Democrats, the way they think, no, it's only supposed to be an issue for red states. Leave it there, right? Leave it there. They supposed to deal with the chaos, okay? He's literally accusing Greg Abbott of creating chaos by sending illegal immigrants to liberal cities, which implies that he's supposed to keep the chaos in Texas. The chaos is supposed to stay in Texas, according to woke Mayor Brandon Johnson.
We'll talk about the shelters themselves as well, but we know the city has also cracked down on buses, fining and impounding those that drop off migrants outside of the agreed upon times and zones. What do you know about the impact of that crackdown so far?
Yeah, well, clearly the governor is trying to circumvent law. I mean, this is, lawlessness that he is engaged in right now. And again,
okay, but is crossing the border, is the illegal immigration crisis lawlessness? Like, by definition, that is lawlessness, okay? He has more of a problem with the lawlessness of Chicago getting exactly what they asked for than the actual border crisis itself. It's fascinating stuff.
The entire impetus behind this ordinance was to make sure that there was coordination that was taking place from the border and the city of Chicago. We have attempted in every possible way to provide the type of structure and calm to a humanitarian crisis that, quite frankly, is global. This is an international crisis as global population shifts take place all over the world. And what we're experiencing in the city of Chicago is a direct result of an individual who is not committed to that type of accountability. And so we've put forth very clear guidelines. You can drop families off. Buses can come to the city of Chicago between these particular hours. We have to have a 48-hour notice. We need a full manifest. We need to know who is on the bus, the conditions in which these individuals are arriving in, so that we can provide the type of care that's needed.
Are those rules
do we know any of these things when they arrive at the border, right? We don't know any of these things when they come into the country in the first place. But yet you just want them to be able to just continue to come into the country. You're not out here, advocating for the border to be closed, right? Again, it's amazing. They think it's totally fine when you have to deal with these issues in Texas, right? People come to the border unannounced. You don't know the conditions that they're in. You don't know anything about them, right? Oh, you're supposed to just deal with it. But when it comes to Chicago, though, oh, no, we need all this information. We need a heads up. We need a 48-hour notice. We need to know everything about them before you can send them here. But Texas doesn't get the luxury of knowing everything about the migrants before they arrive. They just show up. Again, it's amazing. These guys, the hypocrisy is just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. They want Republicans to bear the brunt of an issue that they want nothing to deal with. And then they turn around and point the finger at Republicans that say, hey, you guys should share in what is a federal problem, okay? A problem that, when Republicans complain about it, being in red states, always hating bigotry. In blue states, though, they're the victim. He's the victim. But Texas was never the victim when they was dealing with it on their own. Again, amazing. Absolutely amazing. This saga is probably one of the biggest stories of 2023. Again, as we close out 2023, this is probably one of my favorite stories. And it'll be interesting, fascinating to see where this goes in 2024. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.